Hello, I'm Finlay and you're watching the Runfoot YouTube channel. I've got a lot of experience with various types of running shoes, some of which have helped me qualify and race at the Ironman World Championships in Kona twice. I've also worked for Runfoot for over 10 years, so have a good understanding of how others have responded to various shoe technologies over the years. We've got a special episode this week because we are presenting the brand new max cushioned On Cloud Eclipse running shoes. On sent me a pair of these to test out so we can properly review them and tell you how they feel. You can tell by the shoe that they've been getting tested out in some typical Scottish weather, and I've run around 110 kilometres in these now, so I've got a really good understanding of how they feel, how they fit, and what they're best suited to. And this is an extra special episode as we are doing our first giveaway on the channel. That's right, this is your chance to win a pair of brand new On Cloud Eclipse running shoes. All you have to do is like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and subscribe to our newsletter via the link in our description. The terms and conditions do apply, so please read through them. So before we start going into the tech, it's best to explain why On have made the Cloud Eclipse running shoes. Up until now, their max cushion shoe has been the Cloud Monster. Now, while the Cloud Monster running shoes are very protective, they offer quite a responsive and snappy underfoot feel. So On wanted to make another max cushioned running shoe, but this time something that would deliver a softer and smoother feel that would help reduce the load on your joints and legs to make the longer miles feel easier. And the main concept with the shoe is don't run, glide. So let's start with the midsole. Earlier in the year, we saw the release of CloudTec Phase technology in the Cloudsurfer. And the key difference with the Cloud Eclipse is this features a double layer of On's CloudTec Phase technology. And the key benefit of this is that it creates an ultra smooth sensation underfoot. And if you imagine a stack of dominoes falling over, that's essentially how the midsole is designed to work. This double layer of On's CloudTec Phase cushioning means that the Cloud Eclipse has the thickest midsole of all of On's performance running shoes, with a 37mm high heel and 31mm high forefoot. This is a very thick midsole, so it means there's a lot of cushioning and protection under the foot. The midsole also has a slight curve from the heel to toe, so you get that slight rocker sensation in the shoe. And if you look at the bottom of the midsole, you can see this small speedboard in the midfoot shank area. And that's just designed to add some stability and some structure to the thick midsole. It also aids propulsion. And finally, on the bottom of the shoe, you can see all this orange rubber here. That's all outsole rubber. So there's a lot of that on the bottom of the shoe, which obviously adds a little bit of weight to the shoes, but critically, it makes them pretty durable, and it also offers some enhanced traction in wet conditions. So before we go on to covering how they feel to run in, we'll talk through the upper. It's a simple engineered mesh. It actually doesn't feature any plastic TPU overlays. Instead, it has embroidered areas where they want to add more support, and they've used recycled materials to do that. On that note, the upper of the shoe has been coloured using what's called the dope dye technique, and that actually uses 95% less water than traditional techniques. There's a knitted tongue with engineered wings, and in simple terms, that just means that the tongue is gusseted, so it wraps around your foot and creates a really nice sock-like fit. There's not a lot of padding around the inside of the collar, but it does feel soft, and critically, there's a lot of support around the ankle area, which is a great feature. On to the main part then. How do the Cloud Eclipse feel on a run? Well, when I first tried them on, you could immediately feel there was a lot of protection under the foot. What was interesting is it didn't feel too soft, didn't feel too firm, just a really good balance. And when you stand up, immediately you feel that slight rocker-like sensation in the shoe. And my initial thoughts were, these are going to feel pretty good to run in. As they're designed to help make your runs feel easier, I decided to put that to the test and go straight into a 16-kilometre easy pace run in them. Now, I get to test a lot of running shoes, which I'm very fortunate to do so, and in my experience, pretty much every shoe needs broken in. There is a select handful that don't, and I'm pleased to say that the Cloud Eclipse made it into this exclusive list where as soon as I started running in them, they felt absolutely amazing under my feet. Now, try and not get carried away, but I just couldn't believe how good the cushioning felt. It just felt so smooth, so comfortable, such a good balance between softness and responsiveness. It was just so easy to maintain my pace, and it felt like I was gliding along. If you're wondering, on this sort of run, I'm holding around 4-minute 30-kilometer pace. And even though I knew while I was running I had to collect my thoughts to summarise how the shoes would feel on this first run, I kept forgetting about my feet because it just felt so easy to run in them. And if you watch the next clip now, you'll see how that CloudTec Phase cushioning works and how it creates that ultra smooth transition from landing to takeoff. That clip shows that I land pretty prominently on my heel, and in my experience, I've really never run in a pair of shoes that has smoothed out that landing, that heel strike through to the midfoot, through to the forefoot so effectively. This next image also shows some of the different runs and some of the paces that I've tested the Cloud Eclipse out at. And hopefully from that you can see the versatility of the midsole. I really wanted to put the Cloud Eclipse through its paces, so I tested out on that longer run with 32 kilometers at a slightly steadier pace, around 4:10 minute per kilometer pace. And cushioning felt incredible at that. It felt super protective, but it also felt so propulsive, and it made it really easy to hold that intensity. And likewise on the recovery run, where I just wanted to forget about my feet and just run easy, the midsole just felt so fluid and so smooth under my feet and so protective. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how stable is a midsole, because typically these thicker midsoles, these higher stack running shoes, don't offer quite as much underfoot stability. I'm pleased to say that this was very stable under my feet, and I've been running on these on cobblestones. I've been going around tight corners that are covered in wet leaves, and the midsole has felt absolutely amazing. And I'd go as far to say as these are the most stable, high-stacked running shoes that I've ever tried. A lot of that is probably down to the way that this kind of speedboard in the midfoot shank area has been constructed. It just complements that midsole design really well. Now that we've covered the midsole, let's go on to how they fit and how the upper is. I'm pretty lucky because I generally can get on with most shapes of shoes without too many problems. But I've also hopefully got quite a good understanding of what suits the majority and what's going to work for a lot of runners. And I'd be very surprised if the Cloud Eclipse don't suit a lot of different runners' foot shapes. And the reason for saying that is the toe box offers a pretty spacious and accommodating fit, while the heel counter offers great support, great structure around the ankle. And that's ultimately what a lot of runners are looking for. If you have a slimmer foot, this midfoot tongue construction is actually amazing, because you can cinch the laces up a little bit more there and get a slightly more secure fit across the top of the foot if you wish so, but you can tailor that in a lot of different ways. It's really versatile in the fit there. I went for my normal size in these, and the fit feels absolutely perfect across the front of my foot. So I definitely recommend sticking with your normal running shoe size in the Cloud Eclipse too. And finally, just to wrap up the upper, it's worth saying that when we're reviewing shoes and when we're testing them, we're always looking for little things that will make it better, improve it. And I actually can't find anything that I would change on the upper of these shoes. So it is a really impressive fitting shoe that feels very comfortable. So what are the Cloud Eclipse best suited to? Well, it's very rare that a brand delivers so precisely on what they've tried to achieve with a pair of running shoes. The mission with the Cloud Eclipse was to deliver a level up from what's already out there on the market at the moment, deliver a cloud-like sensation which would significantly reduce the impact of landing, lower the stress on your joints to the next level so that you can run in more comfort and cover more miles with more ease. And for me, these really are probably the best running shoes I've ever worn for my easy to steady pace miles. The balance of protection, energy return, and cushioning is just absolutely spot on. And when I first read the brief for the Cloud Eclipse, I thought these were just going to be suited to the slower pace runs, but as described earlier, they're incredibly versatile and they actually perform really well at those steadier efforts. So the Cloud Eclipse really are one of the perfect running shoes for everything that is around those tempo pace and faster speed focused interval sessions. And with that in mind, the standout benefit of the Cloud Eclipse is how fresh they keep your legs after your run. And that means that when you're getting ready for those speed focused sessions where you're making those real gains, you're ready to do them at the right intensity because those easy miles have just felt so much easier. Even on that 32-kilometer run that I was doing at that slightly steadier pace, my legs just felt so fresh afterwards. And that was the first time in several weeks that I'd run that sort of length. So that's really testament to how good this midsole is and how effective it is at taking the stress off your legs and muscles. So in summary, if you're looking for maximum cushioned running shoes that feel very stable in order to take as much stress off your legs and muscles as possible, it really is hard to look past the On Cloud Eclipse running shoes. And to wrap up this episode, we'll just do a few comparisons to some of the other On models in the lineup. We mentioned the Cloudmonster earlier. Just to reiterate, these are the other max cushioned On running shoes in the lineup. But the main difference is these have a full length speedboard running through the shoe. So that gives them a snappier, more responsive underfoot sensation. So the Cloudmonster are going to be slightly better suited to some faster pace efforts than what the Cloud Eclipse are. And these are going to offer a softer, smoother experience that's going to feel better for those slower to steady pace runs. Next up, we've got the really popular Cloud Stratus 3 running shoes. I'm a huge fan of these. You can also watch our video on the Cloud Stratus 3 running shoes. Ultimately, these just feel a lot more responsive than the Cloud Eclipse do. And I actually really do enjoy doing some easier runs in the Cloud Stratus, but the Cloud Eclipse definitely feel better for that. Where the Cloud Stratus really are good is when you're doing those long tempo focused efforts. It's a really nice responsive performance orientated sensation in these. And finally, we have the Cloud Surfer, the other model to feature CloudTec Phase cushioning, but this only has a single layer of that cushioning system. It doesn't have a speedboard, so actually the Cloud Surfer is probably the softest feeling shoe in On's lineup. However, for me, I think these lack a little bit of cushioning for the longer runs, so these are really best suited to those shorter distances, such as 5 to 10k. Anything further than that, when you're trying to seek a little bit more protection, that's where that double layer of CloudTec Phase cushioning just comes into its own. And that brings me to the end of this On Cloud Eclipse running shoe review. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. You can also head over to the Run For It journal and read a detailed review of the Cloud Eclipse running shoes on there. We'll see you next time.